Hey, all, Baruch Levi, be here from Soul Centered. Thanks for tuning in and joining me in this podcast. I want to talk today about Defy Your Number, which is my new program on the Enneagram, and that's what we're going to explore. And I'm calling it Why Defy. Tell you a little bit more about the why behind it. But before I do, just a little schmoozing. I always wish I had somebody with me, Ariella, but she's just so busy lately with clients that we haven't gotten to any podcasts together. So it's always interesting to be interesting by talking to a microphone and a screen and pretending there is an audience in front of you. So I'll just keep pretending and talk to myself. But I will share with you just some of the going ons of both my life and the Halevi home, because it's kept me from podcasting actually. And in no small measure, well, it's like when I'm recording this, it's May. So as you all know, especially when you have kids and they're in the school systems and hobbies and recitals and all that, May is crazy. April and May. It's been a time of graduations and ceremonies and all kinds of good stuff. My son's Aviv is a dancer, so we've been doing dance competitions every week, going to watch him. But good stuff. It's just been challenging to get to creation of content. And the content creation I have been doing has really revolved around Defy Your Number and the next program that I'm working on called Wealth 360, which is, the Enneagram of finance, of investing and wealth, which I'm putting together with my good friend, Michael Feiner. We've done some podcasts around money and soul. And so we're doing this project. I'll tell you more about that at another time. But when I, again, haven't been putting any content out to the world, I've been doing it behind the scenes. And I want to share with you what I'm very proud of with this Defy Your Number program, because there are some great Enneagram programs out there. For any of you who don't know, because I always get asked to define the Enneagram or explain it, Ennea means 9 and gram is a picture. So it's that picture that you see on my screen here, and you'll see now all throughout our website and talking about it incessantly according to my wife, but that's how I am, and I'm built like an Enneagram 8, so I go all in or I don't go at all. Enneagram is a personality roadmap, if you will. It's ancient. It grows out of sacred geometry, so lots of geometric principles, sacred math, lots of math principles, spirituality from many traditions, Catholicism, Sufism, Kabbalah for sure, Jewish mysticism, and then made its way to the West and into our psychological framework, picked up in the middle of the previous century and really adapted by various psychologists to fit personality theories. And so now it's really all of that and more. And I utilize it because it is, in my own life and in the lives of the people whom I guide, the finest roadmap I have ever found for how to live what I would call your true self. You might call it your spirit, you might call it your essence, your purpose, your why. It is methodical. It is understandable, complex, but understandable. It is predictable. You can't predict what you're going to do because we have free will, and I want to talk about that. But it can show you or predict where you or others will go when you're unconscious, when you've given up the reins of your free will, your ability to choose, and when you go to autopilot. And that's when it becomes a predictor. So I want to talk about that because it's so important for me to stress that it is not a predictor of who you are or where you're going, because that would mean you don't have free will. And that's at the core of existence, the core of my worldview and philosophy, and what I believe is that we always have free will. It's all we have, the ability to choose. And I'll talk about Dr. Frankl and how that relates. The reason why I created this program was because the Enneagram has two extremes. One extreme that I see out there is pop Enneagram. I don't begrudge it. I think it's helped scale the message of the Enneagram. It's not as necessarily well known as something like Myers-Briggs. It should be, because it's infinitely more complex. It's thousands of years old. And, we can start going down the rabbit hole of all kinds of mathematical principles in this, which are just mind-blowing, by the way. That, Myers-Briggs, that's not the purpose of it. That's not what it's to do. It's much more focused on personality assessment or organizational psychology, Myers-Briggs. And that's great, has its place. I just don't find it as a system to live my life, a roadmap for consciousness, as the Enneagram is. For me, the Enneagram is religious. It doesn't have to replace your religion. There's no competition. It has nothing to do with the pentagram and devil worship. There's lots of weird confusion out there about what this is. This is not a belief system. You don't have to believe whatever you want. It doesn't matter. These are principles that are true or not true, whether or not I believe them. There's no requirement. There's no dogma. There's no thou shalls, thou shall nots, have tos, do this, don't do that. These are just principles like any good roadmap where, you're driving down the street, you're driving on a road trip, and you don't follow Waze's suggestions. And what does she always say? At least mine's a she. I don't know how she identifies. She sounds like a she. Recalculating. So she doesn't judge me. Like, she doesn't give me guilt. B, you're a really crappy driver. You should have gone this way. I told you to. No, there's none of that, right? It's just recalculating. Oh, you want to go this way? Okay. But your destination is over there. So recalculating until you tell me otherwise. And that's really, I think, of what the Enneagram is this constant calling of a destination. And we'll talk about that. And when we're not moving towards our destination, not the one we chose, but in some ways the one that's been chosen for us, our inner guidance system just starts recalculating. And that's where the work of the Enneagram comes in, because then we can start studying, this is where I veer off course. This is how I get back to course. This is what it's going to take. These are my patterns, etc. So it's an amazing system, but it's popularized sometimes to the point of trivialized. You see it in lots of Enneagram assessments out there, like in, 10 questions, we can figure out your Enneagram. Well, maybe that's true, but first of all, nobody, not me, not other Enneagram masters, experts out there, can tell you what your number is. That's not for me to tell you. That's for you to reveal, right? To discover. Dr. Frankl, my teacher, mentor, as you know, author of Man's Search for Meaning, father of Logos Therapy, Meaning-Centered Psychotherapy, author of Man's Search for Meaning, and 30 some odd other books, talks about our power to choose, right? That's all we have at the end of the day, is our ability to choose our response to life. One of the other principles that he stands by and that I have brought into my life is that meaning is not made. You don't make meaning. People say all the time, you need to make something meaningful out of it. From my perspective, then that means you're the source. You're on the hook. And in some ways, it's a fantasy. You're creating it, as opposed to what Dr. Frankl said, and I subscribe to, which is meaning is discovered. It's there. It's under the surface. It's in the depths. It's in the shadows. Our job, our work in this lifetime is to go into those shadows, into the darkness, into the struggles, into the good stuff. I mean, whatever you're dealing with, whatever's on your path, and discover the meaning. Meaning is an objective truth, an objective reality for us to find our way to. It's calling out to us. And so we go into the meaning to discover it, to reveal it. And it's not ours, right? It's from a source that's beyond us. It has an existence unto itself. I believe meaning, it's not just a word. It's a living thing. In Kabbalah, we would call it has nefesh, it has energy, it has soul. And so my job when I'm going through darkness is to go into the darkness to find the nefesh, the spirit, the soul, the essence, whatever you want to call it, and to grab onto those, the Kabbalists call them sparks, to hold on to them, to redeem them by integrating them into my life, that meaning into my life, living it, transforming myself, my experience, the people around me, and in the process, transforming darkness to light. So this is the depths of the Enneagram. And when you see lots of these kind of trivialized tests out there, when you see gimmicky Enneagram stuff, it doesn't pervert it. It just, again, trivializes it and becomes a party trick. Right? What's your Enneagram type, right? It's like a pickup line. I think that, in some ways it's fun. And then I don't begrudge that. In fact, I start out my program in that kind of fun way. So I'll come back to that. But it has to be so much deeper than that. It is so much deeper than that. And that's why I created the Defy Your Number Enneagram system, because I want to show the depths of this ancient wisdom tradition. And I also want to show it in modern, practical, impactful ways. There are some other good programs out there. There's some great teachers out there. I just, haven't found what I'm looking for in the Enneagram systems. I have borrowed best practice from some great teachers, but none that really gave me all that I wanted and needed and believed that the Enneagram could and should be. And so I merged my passion for the Enneagram as a system, and it's an amazing system roadmap. But my primary passion, as you know, is, I guess, twofold. One is Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. You don't have to be Jewish to appreciate and engage it. There's no, again, dogma or belief system around it. It's another type of roadmap, more of a roadmap of the soul, how our soul shows up in this world and where we come from, and just really the most sophisticated and interesting ways I have found to understand our lives, our existence. So there's a lot of Kabbalah in my program. But even more importantly for this program anyways, is the work of Dr. Frankl, because at the end of the day, I identify most deeply professionally anyways as a logotherapist. And that is therapy, which comes from the word therapia, which means healing. So it's really healing ourselves through logos. And logos, it's a hard word to define. It comes, I think, originally from the book of John 1:1. In the beginning, there was the logos, which is a kind of a redo of Genesis 1:1, which was in the beginning, right? There was God, divinity. And so logos is really this kind of divinity, this essence. It's oftentimes translated as meaning, can also be translated as truth, as light, but it's this source. And so logotherapy is going inside ourselves to discover this logos, this truth, this meaning, this purpose, this essence, as an act of healing, as an act of repair, as an act of moving forward in our lives. And so I've found in my life and in guiding others that when you tap into this logos, man, anything and everything is bearable. And that's Frankl's idea of, coming from Nietzsche, of he who has a why to live for can endure any how. So when you have your why, you can endure the how. When you go into the darkness and you find the logos, you can not only survive, you can thrive. Well, bringing that to the Enneagram as sort of the gas in the tank. The car, the roadmap is the Enneagram. The gas in the tank for me that drives it is this: find your why, endure, live the hows. And so bringing these three great traditions together, but really it's heavily focused on Frankl and the Enneagram, is the Defy Your Number program. And obviously I couldn't find it out there. That's a very specific order that I was asking for, to be served, and it didn't exist. And it's my passion. So I created it. And I'll say that more humbly, I didn't create it. I synthesized these wonderful, proven inspirational traditions. I am the editor sort of this program. And bringing these two things two or three things together for the first time ever. There's no other Frankl meets the Enneagram. It wasn't something he was interested in. I don't even know if he was exposed to it. And it certainly isn't something that the Enneagram world has focused on. So this is my passion, my area of focus, and this is kind of the why behind it I wanted to share with you. So Defy Your Number is what it's called. I'm really housing it all under the Defiant Spirit, which is it's not even fair to call it a brand. It's a life philosophy. And that comes from Frankl's, that within each and every one of us, there is the defiant power of the human spirit. It's important to me to bring that to bear in this program because I refuse to create or perpetuate this notion that the Enneagram is who you are. Again, back to sort of the cheapening of it. You see this in the pop teachers of the Enneagram and in the more, I know the Yiddish word schmaltz, right? Which is kind of like the fluffy version of the Enneagram. The schmaltzy version is, it's just thin, it's light. Most of the teachers out there that I've seen are, they're marketing people. They're oftentimes very young. So it's thin and flimsy. And it's taught, the Enneagram is taught as this is who you are. You are an Enneagram 7. The great teachers out there, Beatrice Chestnut, Ian Cron, Hudson Russo, there's some Richard Rohr, there's some great teachers out there. They all teach it from the authentic perspective, which is what I'm bringing Frankl to use to say is you're not a number. You must defy your number. That's Frankl's language. You must defy your number. And how do you defy your number? By becoming conscious, by waking up, by taking back your power to choose. Because at the end of the day, you have the power to choose. As Dr. Frankl says, this is the last of human freedoms, to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose your own way. That's your power. What happens in life is that we fall asleep to our power. We give our power away. We are overwhelmed by our power, so we just put it away. We're scared of it. Understandable. That's not a judgment. That's a survival technique. All of those. We're scared little creatures in a very scary world. So from the time we come out of the womb, or probably prior to that, we start developing these defense mechanisms to survive. And that's your Enneagram number. Your number is just your personality type. I can't say it strongly enough. You're not your personality. We so often think, oh, this is who I am. I'm Baruch Levi B, and I'm an 8. And 8s present as really tough, but they're really covering up a vulnerability. That's not who I am. That's my defense mechanism. That's my personality. That's my persona. I think my last podcast was all on this idea of persona as a mask. There's a mask I wear to protect my vulnerable self. Well, I've done it now for almost 50 years, so I start believing that's who I am. But it's not who I am. It's not who you are. I am not an 8. That's where I go when I'm scared, when I'm reacting, not driving the bus, but just on the bus. And the bus, the personality is just driving me. I've given over my power to the bus driver, Mr. 8. When I'm unconscious, it's my comfort zone. So that's where I go when I'm in comfort, and I'm just not doing the work. Now, when I defy my number is when I become conscious. I wake up to start looking at it. It's not an easy thing to take the mask off and look what's underneath there and how I've been using that mask and abusing that mask. So the work is looking at what's underneath the hood, what's underneath the mask. Who's this 8 driving the bus? What in me gave up my power, outsourced it to them, to this personality? What's the damage I've done by being unconscious, by living my life in reaction? So all of this is the work behind the number. We need to discover our number, and that's part of the program I put together to offer you an opportunity to discover it, either by taking a free test. It's a solid test. It's not the best test, but it's a free test. So, that's part of it. But you don't have to take the test. You can also just go through the program to listen to each type and really decide on your number, because again, I can't tell you your number, nor can a test. You'll discover it. It's in there. You don't decide, oh, I really like 7. I do like 7. I'm just not one. It's not how I react. Now I can choose to become more 7-ish. I can choose to become more 2-ish. Those are my choices when I'm awake. But when I'm not awake, when I'm reacting and not responding, well, I don't have a choice. I let the bus driver, Enneagram 8 bus drivers, just drive me down the path of life. And oftentimes it's not pretty, because unconscious, unhealthy Enneagram 8 bus drivers will run over people. They don't stop to pick them up. So this program is all about discovering your number, discovering your personality, discovering your default, your reaction, and equipping you, empowering you to do the work, but doesn't do the work for you. I do not make promises, like in 7 minutes, you'll have ripped abs, right? In 9 videos, you'll know how to respond to life. Actually, you will know how to respond to life. It just doesn't mean you'll choose to do it. That's on you. I will bring you to the choice. I will show you the roadmap of where an Enneagram type gets lost and where an Enneagram type is found. I feel like I want to sing Amazing Grace. But at the end of the day, nobody and nothing can do the path, the work, make the choice but you. That's the point. And that to me is always the sign of an authentic system. I don't care if it's a religion, a philosophy, a whatever. If it's authentic, it empowers, it doesn't disempower. And that's why I love the Enneagram, because ain't no rabbi, priest, minister, guru, saint going to do the work for me. It's on you. It's yours. You are the one with the keys to the vehicle, the bus, to drive forward. You got to get in the driver's seat, and this will show you, what and where and how and who and why and when. So that's Defy Your Number. I've created it as a do-it-yourself adventure, though I am working with some clients on utilizing it in our work and then guiding them one-on-one, but not necessary. It's a standalone program. And I started it off with a free giveaway you can find on defyingspirit.org, where you can take the test or not, and then it gives you 9 videos on 9 Enneagram types walk into a bar. And I am on the more, schmaltzy, cheesy side of things with that, but I think it's fun. And again, I don't begrudge the thin, fun side of the Enneagram stuff out there. There's some good stuff. I like the Enneagram ladies. I'm just blanked on their names. You can see them on YouTube. Just type in the Enneagram ladies. They're funny. Michelle and I forgot, but Leanne and Michelle. Anyways, they have some great funny videos on the Enneagram. Again, it can be light and fun and easy. And I've done some videos on some fun stuff like the Enneagram and the Emmys, the Enneagram and Yellowstone. I'm going to keep doing more of that, Enneagram and music genres. But I think it's important starting point. So my program begins with, and this is the free part, 9 numbers walk into a bar, and here's how they react. And so I take you through the 9 reactions. Again, you can just get that on my website. You don't have to buy the program, and watch that and engage that and hear how your Enneagram type reacts. A caricature, stereotypes, but I don't care. It's a fun and easy way to sort of identify the uglier parts of our types. So as an example, an Enneagram 1 walks into a bar, and what she sees is what's imperfect, what's not right. And that's how she can live her life if she's not careful. I'm not going to go through all of them, but an Enneagram 2 walks into a bar and says, who needs me? And that's the lower side of the 1 of the 2. An Enneagram 3 walks into a bar and says, who sees me? And so forth. Now, in that short video, I can kind of share with you some strategies and pathways back to the higher side, so that when he or she walks into the bar and she's healthy, she's done the work, she's done the Defy Your Number program, quite possibly she will stop reacting and she'll learn how to respond. And so she'll walk into the bar as an Enneagram 1 and say, not what's perfect, but what's good. Because ones, when they shift from perfection to goodness, they become different people. What's the difference? I think of Voltaire's famous saying, perfection is the enemy of the good, right? Good is not perfect, but it's contributing, it's creative, it's part of the solution, right? Of whatever you're talking about, making something better, not perfect, but better. And it's incremental perfection. So I see it like with my son, who's an Enneagram 1. When he shifts away from perfection and shifts towards goodness, man, there's nobody better in this world. So the work of defying your number as a 1 is to defy the perfectionism, which then degenerates into criticism and, anger, and get back to goodness as the driving energy, the holy ideas we talk about in Enneagram. 2, shifting away from who needs me to, and trying to get your needs filled by others, looking for love in all the wrong places, as the song goes, and find it within yourself and know that you're worthy of love. And that when you then do love, it doesn't come from a place of being needed, but of serving, of service, true service. And Enneagram 2s, when they ascend, they stop giving to get and they start giving to give, and so forth. So it's a very practical starting point, because we've all walked into a bar, we've all walked into a room, and we've reacted. And it's a very understandable outcome, because each and every one of us knows within us our Enneagram true calling, our holy idea, the higher side of why we're here. And this program will help you defy your reaction, discover your response, so that you can live your life not as a number. Coming full circle, this is a program not about numbers. This is a program about discovering your true self, your spirit, the Kabbalists call it your name, your essence, your whatever you want. Very practical how to get there. I priced it at $199. It's a very substantial program. So there's introduction plus 3 units. Unit 1 is all about the philosophy of the Defiant Spirit and a little background on Dr. Viktor Frankl and how it informs the Enneagram. Unit 2 is all about the fundamentals of the Enneagram. This is not a mastery level program. These are the basics of the Enneagram. I will have mastery level programs next. And then Unit 3 are 9 videos. Each of those are 1 video. Unit 3 is 9 videos, 9 Enneagram types, plus a bonus video in each of those for each type to discover its number, defy its number, and then the bonus video is to be in relationship with that particular number, or strategies, top 10 strategies if you are that number, to defy your number and discover your spirit. So it's very methodical, practical. I really drew upon my Enneagram 1, which is very high within me, ordered, structured, clear, a little less chaotic than my normal 8 self, but with the intensity and the passion of the 8. So that's the Defy Your Number program. I encourage you, this is an informal kind of soft launch to my friends and family and followers on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on our website, to jump over there to check it out. You don't have to buy it. You can start with the free complimentary gift. Get over there and claim it. Share it with friends if you want to introduce them to the Enneagram, to get them going on their journey to defy their number and discover their spirit. And it's I think makes for a really nice gift. And at that price point, it's doable. So that's an introductory price that will be going up, but definitely launching on that price and that platform. It's housed over on Thinkific, but don't worry about that. You just go to my website, mysoulcenter.org, or defiantspirit.org will get you there, and you can just start exploring it. So this is the first time I've really formally talked about it, now that it's up and ready to roll. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate your feedback. I'm considering a few changes within it. Also, already working on, as I mentioned, some add-ons to it. So I'm going to have an add-on around money and wealth, and have an add-on eventually with my sister, psychic or spiritual medium, Rebecca Rosen, who will be doing the much more spiritual version of it and kind of that direction, or the financial version, which will be much more secular, business oriented, and then lots of other add-ons to come. And they'll all be under the Defiant Spirit brand, the Defy Your Number Enneagram system or ecosystem. And would love to hear from you about what you've experienced with it, what you're looking for from it or beyond it. And always certainly happy to work with you on your Enneagram type, defying it and living your true self, your spirit in this lifetime. Shoot me an email at Baruch, Baruch, at mysoulcenter.org. And until the next time, shalom, salam, namaste, peace. Get out there and defy your number and live your spirit.